11 or something like that. I didn't do the math. I didn't do the math on that one, but NRG are good at Overpass. I made a video about them, specifically Cirque opting on Overpass, because this was one of the maps that stood out the most as to how interesting their CT setups were. And so I really also, I mean, I like to be optimistic, we both do, but it really doesn't feel like there's going to be a chance for Envy in this series. Now, that being said, talking to Drone, I was like, you know, probably have to look forward to the lower bracket match after this, you know, just some banter. But he was like, you know, we're coming into this with no pressure, and that'll be nice for them.
Absolutely true. I mean, this is certainly NRG's game to lose, but as said, they haven't lost anything yet. They've been looking clean cut and poised to take it to the major. However, they do lose one player, at least here in the pistol. It is, of course, the map choice of Envy, just to reiterate, and therefore NRG, excuse me, other way around. NRG's map choice, with then, of course, NRG on the T side because of that. But we'll happily start them off on the offense. They don't seem to mind. They are cutting straight through Envy for the most part. And only JDM left up. Really not putting him in a good position to win pistol. I'm curious to contrast this map versus, of course, the game yesterday from Envy on Overpass as well.
And we should absolutely do that. We know that Envy's CT side is a little bit more passive. Now, there were some aggressive options that they employed, but there weren't that many. And we even saw Team 1 on their CT side show us that, oh wow, we haven't seen a fountain push in a long time. They got away with that on rounds where Envy maybe don't feel comfortable doing it. However, they do like playing Overpass in general. I think the other two things that weren't mentioned on the desk that count against Envy are, number one, that, well, historically, Envy's players, I mean, they haven't had that much success versus NRG before, you know, the roster reorganization. But more than that, Kerrigan also has not had much experience versus NRG, so I'm sure he looked to his teammates to try to help him understand how they should play against NRG the best.
Ethan looking quick to the B-bomb site. Officially changed now, by the way. This is the premier tournament for his name swap. It is Ethan, no longer Nate. Just looked in the mirror, come out a different man. Absolutely zero defense held up on that B-bomb site. So NRG cleaning straight through. Not going to be a problem. Real problem may come in the follow-up round when they're still going to have 4 MAC-10s by the looks of it.
That is a big deal. Not a single loss so far. Bomb ticks down. And Cirque will be the man up front. He is a player that, you know, Dap said in that last major qualifier, they lost to E United, and there was a point where losing to E United was not that big of a deal. Like, you're an NA team, you play against E United, they were on the come-up, they were always punching well above their weight, and that was the storyline for them. But then they also lost to Complexity. Complexity did end up getting top 8, so that is maybe there's some solace there as well. But ultimately, NRG were favored, and they were so heavily favored, Dap said it affected the team, knowing that they were expected to win. And we've always theorized that that is going to be the case with teams who are favorites, but you kind of have to hear it from the horse's mouth to get confirmation. Because sometimes it looks like a choke, but it's not actually. It's more, you know, these small things that might have happened. Maybe they felt like they're unlucky, maybe they messed up a veto. But for NRG, it definitely was a confidence game. And so far, they haven't been slacking in this minor. They've come through hard. They've won all their matches decisively. And they've made the conversation really short for that reason on the desk, because they've just shown us that they're not taking any matches lightly. And they are here to make sure that they qualify and aren't here to simply style and float through. It's going to be another pistol round for Envy. Cutler has a Deagle and a HE grenade. Drone's got 1 smoke, and they can use this in a couple of ways. One of those ways is to smoke off the site you want the team to go to. The other way is to smoke off the other site to try to funnel them back towards you. It's just a big mind game. But with the 5 stack over towards this site, you can see that that's probably their intention to take the original option. NRG will see this as a warning sign, however. Move their way out to A, and they'll have a clean site to get the bomb down. CT smoke and all of the angles cleared to make things nice and simple for them. Rotates come out, but not that many. They want to try to catch exits, but do it in a somewhat safe way. Cutler's crosshair rests a bit high, and Cirque, for that reason, can kind of run right under it.
Hasn't been the norm throughout this minor, or any of them in fact, for teams to just go for that double save following a loss in the pistols. You know, obviously used to be an everyday occurrence, Mohan. But
yeah, that's a really good point. A lot of the rounds that we've seen from Envy, Kerrigan has called save situations when they've had enough to get rifles, but not get 2 ops, and that's, even though Nifty has taken a backseat in terms of opping, is not the primary opper, they still like to save so that him and JDM can both pick up the AWP, and that actually has been kind of a saving grace. There was, I think, remember the 11-7 scoreline where it's like, okay, Envy can try to buy now. They lost a second pistol. It's looking grim here on Overpass versus Team 1. And they call a save, even though they had around $4,000 to $4,600. They wanted to be able to get those 2 ops, and that helped them get back into the game. So very confident in their double op setups. And here on this map, though, they've just saved so that they have all the nades they need. JDM will be the only person opping. Majority kids, everybody's got head armor apart from him. And NRG are starting off with a standard default. Seeing the smoke will de-incentivize them from pushing through the short smoke, but I don't think they'll be too concerned. Envy haven't even pushed up to short. Super passive setup overall from all the CTs. Not a lot of information gained. NRG are comfortable hanging back in this situation. Looks like Kerrigan worried potentially about a B rush. Go ahead and re-smoke Monster off. 3 players in the site, but they'd like to get some more information before they take any risks, allowing NRG to come through these 2 choke points.
Still no movement here from Envy. I mean, the furthest most aggression we have is Cutler over towards long A. You can see JDM with that op positioned on the front side of the A site, hoping there is a terrorist near bathrooms. So, setup meant to respond to some mid control and a potential A hit, but that is not the case. It's patience from NRG. To the 35-second mark, we arrive. Drone, well, he's been waiting. He's not going to have to wait much longer. We get that cascade of grenades over the top, blinded for the moment. Drone doesn't cut off the initial player, and Breeze with Daps actually charged straight inwards. It is Kerrigan with a single kill, and Nifty's down in the water with a teammate by his side, but Daps' MAC-10 meant to create space, doubling down onto the head of Nifty, and all the while smokes in the face of JDM.
Daps with the MAC-10 making it look like it's an anti-eco round with those 2 kills, and that leaves JDM and Cutler to think about saving. JDM going to make sure not to run too early. A pretty simple thing you can do to make sure that you don't get chased on these early exits.
Ooh, and then one better. Ethan will be boosted into the heavens, just trying to catch off the opper, who is a little too far gone. Personally, I do see the B bomb site of Overpass kind of like the B bomb site on Mirage, in the sense that those MAC-10s can actually put in work. You know, not if you have to duel versus somebody in heaven or even back towards graffiti, but with the smoke grenades we saw out of NRG, you saw how the prowess of that MAC-10 smacked back the defenders of Envy. You know, it's a pretty common trait for B-site defenders if you get smoked off from graffiti to throw yourself into that water. And I mean, it's a shooting gallery for Daps in that fact.
So what you open yourself up to when you don't have monster control or you don't have short control is just the B rush and not knowing exactly when the timing will come out. If they don't have anybody pushing on short, then they can't be able to help themselves counter grenade in time because they don't have information. And so it looks as though, okay, the site hold should have been better, Drone needed to get a kill, but what you want to see from the CTs is that they don't have a reliance on Drone to get a kill or for anybody to be holding the site. Now ultimately you've got to put the numbers up, and when the site take comes, then those fraggers have to show up, but at the same time you're trying to make sure the first player that gets a kill is blind. For example, you get a kill like this on short, so if there is going to be a split coming your way, you know ahead of time. It also makes it harder to line up smokes. There's far less smokes that you can throw over Monster as opposed to short control, and that's why it's so attractive for the T's to try to take short control. And for all those reasons, you know, Envy really ran a big risk being too passive and too timid on the B site. Here into the next rifle round, NRG off to a strong start. Opening kill, however, for Envy will make things interesting. Let's see what the adjustment is for NRG. How do they come back into this? It's a long setup between Cutler and JDM at long A. And the op is here to support. There is, you know, specific angles that he can work with between the dice box and long, where he can spot bathrooms and the outside of bathrooms, and those are nice to be able to have. But without somebody at long, it's a lot more risky to stand there. And we've seen this setup used many, many times.
Yeah, in fact, this is a similar setup to what we got in the previous gun round, just one prior. However, difference being JDM doesn't go for that B pick at the very beginning of the round. Will spot the shoulder, An elbow of Cirque, but he's gone. Breeze getting a kill on long as well. That's Cutler cleared out from his corner. Now they do, or should, anticipate a B hit, seeing as Cirque was spotted going downwards. Nifty ready close. Cirque drops drone. Does tag the second player as well. So Cirque's doing a great job with that op in the close perimeter, but there's only 7 seconds left and they're gonna need to plant. Dap sprays down 2. Now they need this kill. Nifty just needs to hide. There's a second left. Nifty drops just before I'm wrong. He actually manages to keep himself up. I would love to see that in slow-mo. It couldn't have been more than a second.
Those milliseconds, definitely. Nifty, oh my goodness, good movement on the site. He was put into a very tough spot when Drone got his kill, got taken down. He had to fall back while spraying at Cirque, and I don't think he had any intention of actually finding this kill. He just wanted to make sure he could delay long enough for JDM to come in, which he was successful in, and then
within a second.
Just got so lucky in not dying in those last moments. Amazing attempt there from Daps to get those final 3 kills. And ultimately, the only thing that helps NRG out in the situation is that this is the ultimate reset territory.
Yes.
Bombus is bought here for Envy in round 6, 3 of them to be exact. JDM's only got a scout, and NRG are going to be fully well aware that they'll be light on grenades. Envy have prioritized HEs on those who could afford it, and everybody else will just be thinking about firepower. And again, if they don't employ any aggressive setups, it'll always come back to the conversation about firepower. So hopefully they try something a little bit different, but it looks like NRG are going to move very quickly into the B site.
Yeah, probably not anticipating any counter grenades, and understandably so. Although Nifty gets the opening frag, jumps back into the short side, and he will be joined by other members of his team. They've used that connector rotation to come down already, and there's a double man flank through T-spawn, but not anticipating Daps costs Kerrigan his life and gives away the advantage. Obviously Envy, they were already against the ropes. Now they're outside of the entire boxing ring.
That's why I wanted to, that's why I highlighted that they had bought and prioritized 2 Molotovs, because I'm thinking, okay, this is a great round where NRG could rush B. It's such a strong rush, and you know if the other team is light on grenades, it's even stronger.
Yeah.
But even though they only had two HEs, if they had those in the B site, it would have been fine to try to stop the rush. It could have made a big difference. However, NV didn't anticipate them trying a monster rush and expected they'd go for some kind of default. If that were the case and they did pick off 1 or 2 of NRG's players, even if NRG would take that moment and turn it into a B rush afterwards and still be able to avoid all those A players who have a big rotation, there would be more of a chance on the retake. And unfortunately for Envy, we didn't see that reality come to fruition. $1,500 on most players here as they recycle a few of these guns. They're not great, however. And once again, they'll have to get crafty. It's basically going to be an anti-force buy situation for NRG. It's not the full reset as they would have liked to have hoped for, but they've still got, obviously, a much higher chance of winning this round and winning it very cleanly. JDM gets mollied down a little bit while he tries to take stairs control, and here's NRG to circumvent the CTs once again, going back to the site, or going back to the site that was thoroughly swarmed last round for Envy. Stairs control could be nice, but Daps has a strong advantage if he comes back to hold this. It doesn't tell NRG all that much. In this situation, Bomb can go rejoin the Ts who are pushing up long, and there just needs to be someone there to hold the stairs flank and the big flank. But apart from that, they can group up and try to entry.
Kerrigan caught, not in an advantageous position. Not for a man with only the CZ. And, well, Nifty was on 1 health. JDM's got 3. Cutler's got a kill. Now he's going to be able to bail out towards bathrooms, unfortunately falling straight into the hands of Fugly. Then we see these assists and frags rack up on the kill feed. Drone, the last remaining weapon from the previous round, has found nothing as of yet, other than a quarter of his health gone. So he's just going to attempt for some sort of an exit. NRG doing a very good job in back-to-back rounds of circumventing the initial setup of Envy. Think back with the quick B push versus only Nifty. This time finding, you know, a little bit more presence in the bomb site, but still just Kerrigan with that CZ. We're not talking one of the FAMAS's save, no. he finds just the player with a sidearm.
And certainly some of that can come back to a mind game between the IGLs. You know, if we do a monster rush, that might be kind of predictable, knowing that it's obvious how much utility is left for the CTs. But at the same time, if we're willing to force our way in and call the bluff of Envy, who might be trying to go 2 levels deep, and we get into a site, there's only one person there. And I think that was just a fight that NRG were willing to take. They were already successful with a B exec into 3 people, with monster control for Envy, and so they got in. And so I think riding high on that confidence makes a lot of sense. Keeping it simple also makes sense. And I think that's why we're seeing NRG have so much success. So it's going to be another affair with pistols we'll officially see in Eco round now. Drone's the only one to bring a gun into this next round. It's just a Falmus. He's got armor and a flash. And how do NRG approach it? Somehow 2 players take early damage from NRG. 3 players.
How is that?
I guess somebody might have dropped a nade in spawn. I think that's the only way that can happen.
You know, there's accidental, team nades in spawn. Happens every once in a while, I suppose.
Yeah. Triple boost on short.
First time I've ever seen it. Here we go. Traded out by Fugly. So that right there is the Falmus, and it's unretrievable for the other members of Envy. We'll have Cutler run forward to his death. Could be the outcome for the remainder of Envy as well. Most certainly should. Kerrigan will catch 1, but that's it. That's all. Breeze with a double. NRG 7 rounds and a T side that's looking nice and swift.
Very swift. It would be a shame to not get to see NRG CT side and be able to see what Sir can do with an AWP, but Envy will have to earn it. Trying to remember where Envy closed it out. I think it was on the T side that they closed it out, and in the first half, kind of struggled to put together a half, came out quite behind. So this definitely counts against Envy, having to go through this one more time. A bit more damage done to Nifty before the round's even really begun. NRG are going to take it towards A one more time. We saw Envy use that Molotov, or that incendiary, quite often to try to deny anyone from coming out A, but they've never actually threatened and coupled that with a fountain push. So if NRG watched the game yesterday, they'd see that the incendiary comes out, and normally if there's a fountain push, that can get in the way of the timing. That would allow us to peek safely. But again, because Envy have never actually tried to put people together with that incendiary, it's not been a huge threat.
There's a threat for you. JDM's actually inside of the bathroom, so yeah, sure, it's not a push up towards party, it's not a hyper-aggressive stance, but there's still a line being held here. Not sure if Daps just got that frag through smoke, but it's Cutler who then has to let go of his initial position. Traded into the 3 versus 3. Did seem like at the start of this round, Nifty was going to get that immediate op pick, but now he's chasing ghosts down by that B bomb site.
Like we saw yesterday, NRG have a very clean brand of Counter-Strike on T side. They use only the grenades they need. Their fakes, while thorough and while tricky, are almost always consist of just a couple of nades put in the appropriate spots, and can make it really difficult to read. Daps will commit to this and also gets the spray off. Cutler goes ahead and trades that frag. But there's 2 members from NRG who made it look like they were going B for a second and hightailed it back to the site in just the nick of time. Bomb goes down, Nifty in a 1v2, and he's going to be juggling mentally whether or not he wants to go for this. He's quite late to A site, and he's also got this op to babysit.
I do feel like making it seem as though they were rotating back down into the B site is probably the reason Cutler's just caught out in the open with no gun ready. 7 seconds left. If he anticipates an A hit, he just stands over towards long. He has to force NRG into the open, and that's an exposed position that could very easily have him denying based on time, but not the case here.
We saw some miraculous clutch rounds, one specifically from Nifty outside the bathrooms on the T side. And that was one of a few that allowed Envy to claw their way back in. And as exciting of a match as it was, what we take from it is that their overpass was a little weak. Looking outclassed in these moments as NRG have earned themselves another eco out of Envy. Would definitely like to see what they can do differently, but I think I've harped on it already. It's just finding ways to become aggressive without being predictable in practice ways. I think they could have potentially predicted the veto. We know Kerrigan is god at vetoes, so I'm sure that overpass is not that much of a surprise. But what has that changed? I think the most value that they get out of having Kerrigan is he's really good at calling loose, even on teams that he's been on for a long time. Their strategies are not overly convoluted. They're pretty simple, right? Just level-headed, reasonable ways to approach the rounds that don't require a ton of moving parts. And so you would anticipate that Envy would actually get better as the days go on. But the threats also grow.
Yeah, exactly. They're standing up against what has been the giant of the North American minor, convincing wins in all instances so far from them. And this looks like just another added to the tally. You know, NRG, it was no surprise that after the previous minor, them being eliminated, were very salty about that, as they should have been. You know, once more, they were the favorites there.
I thought there was going to be a roster change after that. I mean, even though they had the correct lineup and they were good outside of that, and they came hot off the IEM Shanghai, you know, really good few months leading up to the major.
Yeah.
It felt like, okay, with having to sit the major out and then having to go through a few months of watching other teams play and then thinking about that choke and then thinking about, well, are we ever going to be able to bring this back? Are we going to stay together and stay focused up until this point? You know, I would assume that sometimes that mental pressure can become too much. We see that happen to teams all the time. Majors can be make or break, but it's great that NRG stayed together, and it's also great that they're looking so sharp. I mean, it's at a certain point we're drawing the narrative of, yeah, NRG are going to get through this minor. How good was their form at the minor, so that we can try to extrapolate how good they might be at the actual major. Early opening kill here for Fugly, opping in the stairs. Might have taken a spawn and the liberty of going out for that peek by himself. Ethan also catches Kerrigan on the off timing, trying to reaggress on short late. Tried to lurk his way out. Not having stairs, though, makes that a whole lot more risky.
Ooh, all right, Drone. We see you. Goes swinging wide for the duel and takes it at least down to the one-man advantage. As we do seem to have a little break in action. Just to return back to what you said about, you know, not seeing this team make roster changes. It was not long ago on January 14th that this roster is now officially 1 year old. So I think they've accomplished a lot in a 1 year. And it's nice to see that they gave themselves at least that full year-long attempt at making something special.
Yeah, an entire cycle of Counter-Strike.
Yep.
It's good stuff, and looks like Envy kind of gambled here. JDM looked like he was about to drift back to the A site. Now sits behind a smoke and has to make a tough decision, but his scope sticks out and Daps capitalizes on that kill, leaving just these two players, in Cutler and Drone, who have rotated out. As we saw, Drone got that trade on short B, so they were trying to make a read, and it was the wrong one. NRG win another round convincingly. Very few losses. Everybody has almost over 10K. That's ridiculous.
This is a horrifying T-side as far as Envy is concerned. Just been cutting through them so smoothly. You know, I believe, only seen the man advantage in the hands of Envy in the 5th round, which is the only one they managed to win in the end. And when I say win, I use that term loosely because they did have 0 survivors.
My prediction for the bracket is probably not going to be a surprise to most people, but it feels at the moment, from what we've seen, that NRG will probably be the #1 seed, that Furia will be #2, and that, you know, maybe between Envy and ENCE there's something there, maybe a stylistic matchup that could work well for Envy, but ENCE should potentially come out ahead in that game as well. So, you know, that's a tough route. I think if the top 2 had a bit more parity, then we could have a conversation about if ENCE or Envy could break into that, but it really feels like both NRG and Furia are just such a step ahead in this minor.
So it's been, remember, Envy were not many rounds away from actually eating a 2-0 loss yesterday and going home versus Team 1. So they've been the closest to the guillotine so far of the playoff teams in this NA minor. Ethan looking for a headshot, trying to find some kind of a response, any presence at all, really. And he's going to creep straight sideways into Nifty.
Always good when you're watching pro matches to spot for angles like that. When you see a player not moving at all and they're just holding an angle, it's something that they know they're going to get a kill from if somebody walks into it. They've had success before. a lot of angles in this game will get you killed if you hold on to them. Peeker's advantage, very big deal, and there's one situation where Breeze capitalizes on 1.5 player. Stadium is so low, but ultimately NRG come up behind. They've only got 3, and Kerrigan, look at this, he's roaming around the B side. He sees that nobody's on short. He's pushed through Monster. He can tell his teammates they can rotate, but can he be certain they don't come back? Door swings open on short, and now have a couple of players running his way.
Yeah, Stabs to lead that charge with the team flash coming in a little bit late, but still only blinding the counter-terrorist. He will pick up his duel, so we're back into the even ground. Bomb down, JDM up. Trying to pry over top of the smoke, get vision on the players within the bomb site. There are 2 here, and then we have that anchor in Cirque, 100 health at an op on short.
2 kits.
Could have been a game-changing round, or kill, excuse me, but they finally find Fugly.
Daps then responds, but so will Nifty. Cirque posted on the Heaven Peak. That CT helped out by the teammate's flash, but Cirque should still be able to anchor this. Just needs to lock down that bomb. There are kits on both these players. Now the stick will come through. No, JDM jumps off of it, and while that does get him the frag versus Cirque, I don't think he's gonna have the time.
Oh wow, he puts it together at the last second. You can see that fuse burning, that's it. Gets the defuse off, really well done. That was a strong retake, and it was on Nifty to make sure that he didn't get opt in the Heaven. Had the shoulder peek with absolute precision. As we saw from the angle that he held, he was ready for the challenge. And I thought once JDM missed that initial shot on Fugly, who's jumped up on default box, that the round was over, but that was not true. Really good stuff from Envy, but it came so close. And at every turn, NRG have read them as to which site they need to go through, which site has less players. They've just called that out almost blindly and been correct.
You know, of the 2 rounds that Envy have, both of which have come within literal milliseconds of losing as well. This could have been easily a 12-0 half so far. So I don't know how much of a silver lining this actually is for Envy.
Huge potential for it to be 12-2 with the guns that we're seeing on the CT side.
That Mag 7 still in the mix.
It's not quite like Nuke, where this Mag 7 could be good up until the end of the round.
Right.
If players get thinned out, he's going to feel very naked having only this gun to work with. He's all alone now on the stairs. He's going to have to go absolutely massive and hit this shot, and he does. Ethan doesn't spot him.
Yeah, caught looking the wrong direction. Staring out the windows instead, anticipating what would have been a boost inside of short water, but we haven't seen Envy go for those sorts of aggressions. Kerrigan, though, getting more so aggressive, upgrading into the AK, moving into the depths of Connector, but we have the flank from Daps. He picks up Cutler, sees the rotate of Nifty just next to the garbage, and Nifty, well, he doesn't need to see him, he knows exactly where he is. Fugly, as well, has made some sound, so expect him to be enveloped by Envy. They used that defuse from JDM to come into this round with a questionable buy, and at the very least, pick up a 3rd round for their CT side. But what more?
Yeah, but what more? They absolutely leveraged it well, and Kerrigan from stairs was all alone and got a very important 2 kills there. One with the Mag 7, picking up the gun from Ethan, who died, and then flanking Breeze somehow, who came down the stairs to trade. But not only that, everybody showed up, and that's kind of what we need to see from Envy. That was also a problem for them versus Team 1, where although strategically they looked maybe sound enough to be able to pull out rounds versus a much more inexperienced team, they still couldn't keep up in the frag department, and NRG are going to be an even bigger threat with that criteria in mind as well. So here it is, another 5v4, and that stat line hasn't been too daunting for Envy. They've been able to pull out the opening kill every once in a while. We can see a mirror here to one of the first gun rounds as NRG are all posted up outside the B site. Jerome this time not on the right side of Monster. It seems like he's starting to move this way. He's going to see these nades cascading over the site. What's he going to be able to do?
Ooh, take down both. You'd think that with the terrorists coming in on both extremities of the pipeline, that it would have been a tough job on the crosshair, but it's not a tough job at all for Envy. These rounds finally getting convincing, and it's not just versus anti-ecos, but rather the full buys. However, a little too little, a little too late.
A little bit too late, yeah. Maximum potential for 5 rounds as we move into round 15 of the first half, and at least it's not an abysmal half. It definitely felt like it was the makings of one, but they not only win the rounds in total. They win them in succession, which is pretty interesting to see. NRG struggling here. Funny to see them go out through Monster while the smoke was in full effect, as they had a minute left, and last time they were able to find a timing in between the smoke dissipating and the next nade that could have potentially come to execute, which was a whole lot safer.
Flashbang on the mark. Wallbang as well, in fact. All right. Fugly gets the initial kill, and that was Ethan with early damage. JDM hopeful for a pick. And just to be clear, yesterday, before Envy came back on the T side of Overpass versus Team 1, they did only have 6 rounds on their CT half. So, very crucial, in fact, that they've been picking up at least a few more rounds here. They'll have some sort of a chance. Maybe this 5th round, maybe not. The trade frags have gone back to the favor of NRG, and the bomb will work its way up bathrooms. Kerrigan spotting long, sees this initial bit of contact, does have JDM with him. JDM not going to shy away, not going to cower in the corner, but rather run forward. And he's lost his teammate, but trades effectively with the Molotov slowing down the bathroom's exit, 45 seconds in a 2v2, and a slight advantage on health. But who's going to stop this sniper? JDM! He's going to finish the half with an ace. And just like that, it'll be Envy with the same amount of rounds as he had kills. 5, folks, as they swap over to the offense. What more can they do? Stay tuned, and we'll find out. We are back with the first map of Team Envy versus NRG. It's Overpass, and it's Envy to the offense. 5 rounds at the end of that first half, just barely put on the board, but at least they did it. You know, everything that happened to the opening 15, you swipe it from the tablet, and you get yourself back into the action. Gonna be heading out to the B site, so it seems. JDM, quick entry. Fugly can't hold back more than 1, but Cirque, well, he pops nifty on his soar through the skies. It's a 3v3 with the bomb on site. Gonna go for a boost. And what comes of it? Ooh, just another dink versus the counter-terrorist. There's the kill v daps, and damn, JDM. He finishes the half with an ace, turns around and gets a 4K in the pistol. This guy doesn't want to lose.
He went from 10 kills to 19 and is now, oh my goodness, so far in the lead in terms of frags. I don't know if there's anybody in the server that's close. Yeah, no, there's just Daps who has 17, who actually did a fantastic job entering sites and probably also mid-rounding to the correct sites in the first half. But Yeah, from a pure fragging power perspective, JDM is leading the charge at the moment. So a nice couple of rounds from him, and it couldn't have come at a more important moment. The pistol in the second half to keep things competitive could have been another story if they didn't pull that one out. The triple boost gets called out. Cutler looked like he turned his attention away for a moment, but still kept his awareness at an all-time high. There's another one of the CTs who was trying to chase him down. It seems like they definitely want to surround this kill if possible, but he's gotten a ton of info now, and Envy will be the ones to circumvent the defense this time.
Yeah, all too easy. 4 players charging up into A, nothing there. NRG with the conga line towards T-spawn. They want to find Cutler, but look at him go. Moving those feet real swift.
Can we take a look at the stats for the match so far? I want to be able to talk about here what we're looking at if Envy are performing a comeback. The rounds in a row, it seemed like there was 3 at the end of the half. They pulled 1 out near the beginning, and apart from that, had a pretty lackluster half. But because they did so much work near the end, made it a whole lot more competitive. I guess that graphic is just it's in the kitchen still.
It's in the
oven. It's in the oven.
The other realm. It was round 5. The one that they picked up because of that nifty survival on the B bomb site. And then, yes, you were correct, 4 rounds in a row at the end of the half.
Yeah, just 1 after losing the pistol, the following anti-ecos, and the first rifle as well. So NV well on their way back to a tie, but it'll be guns to make sure, and well, to help us see if that'll actually be the case. A lot of money collected, but ultimately Cutler and Drone still hanging on onto these Galils. There's not going to be an op on the server for NRG, or just in the server in general. Kerrigan leading the charge into the B site with a full monster rush.
Yeah, just going right in. Big old great offensive. Ethan's going to have a little bit of cover over towards barrels, but Drone looks to take him down. It's Breeze with a 2K, and Ethan with 2 assists. But the B site does still fall. Rotation's a little bit distanced, and because of that, we'll now have Envy enveloped on the bomb site. Fugly's on the flank, but it seems as though Nifty's watching this from the depths of the monster. Cutler plants bomb, daps, loses the duel versus JDM. And now Cirque is going to try to activate from the heavens, spraying into Cutler, clearing the site itself, but very wary of the potential push of JDM, and he's pushed a little bit, not giving up that forward position, while also holding off long enough for Nifty to find that flank. And so, just like that, we have Team Envy 2 rounds away from NRG.
Not bad, and they kept it simple, led with a monster rush into B, which, you know, we've seen those fall flat on their faces, and I'm sure they were open to the possibility of that happening, but NRG light on nades and didn't have a proper response for how quickly that came out. So they keep the pace high, they get the bomb plant, they collect the money, they keep 2 alive. Cirque will be able to recycle his M4. No one's probably going to be able to support him by buying guns behind it, but at the very minimum, he can make this a fortified eco round. Team Envy pulling out some interesting stuff. JDM up to 21-9, and that's something that we'll probably have to pay attention to if it continues to be such a stark contrast to his next highest fragging teammate. Pretty ridiculous stuff. And although they had Galils on their anti-eco, just I guess to make sure that they won the round, they now have brought themselves another chance to collect money. Drone and Kerrigan have MAC 10s, and for the most part, there should be a lot of easy kills. Half armor on 2 players. They'll get melted with appropriate crosshair placement. And it looks like a pretty interesting stack here from the CTs. What do Envy do on response? Do they smoke this out or do they take the fights?
Looks like they're going to go ahead and duel. Ethan, deagling down at least 2 frags. There comes Fugly's CZ, and that's on the flank. So these terrorists not only damaged, but pinched upon. And while Nifty does clear Ethan eventually, Daps then looks to strike, maybe making a mistake.
And here's where everything cools down. And T's need to recollect themselves, talk about nades, the fact that Nifty's low. Try to share whatever information they can gather from their fallen teammates or just each other. And see if they can figure out what NRG are going to try to do. Lots of time left on the clock to figure out if there's going to be a kill that'll come for free, if a big flank will come out late. JDM in full detective mode, but he's now going to turn his attention back as they make a decision. It's Fugly who is actually quite far away Even if Breeze gets a kill but gets traded, the bomb will go down. It'll be a tough round for Fugly to win. So this could come down to the player we're watching right now. Looks as though he's flanking top of bathrooms, but not seeing anything might make him wonder if Fugly had just missed them coming through the door, but he's making his way back to the site. Again, Nifty within one hit of dying.
He's going to come to a point where that MAC-10 will serve as the better gun. Sees the bomb plant. That's JDM on more HP. Now he's tagged them. The SMG would be fantastic, but he doesn't swap over to it. Not confident in the low health, and sure enough, Fugly not even going to take a chance here. If he kills JDM right after planting, or even in the process, then I can't help but feel like Breeze goes ahead and wins. But JDM just extending his dominance here. I mean, really take a moment to soak all of this up. 23 frags, and the next highest behind him is Nifty with 8. In terms of ADR, nobody even in 60. But he's at 113.
He's not going to be able to pick up med packs in the middle of the round, right, like you could in BR. This is going to be a big problem for Envy more than anything else. If he's the only one killing anybody, everybody below 10 kills apart from him is, I think, a negative more than a positive. And they almost lost around there to just pistols. The only recycled gun came into that, and he could have been smoked out earlier. They threw the smoke down on long bathrooms late, and it felt like they rushed it once they saw that there was some kind of boost or balloons presence from the CTs. I mean, on an eco round, on a rifle round, you would think, okay, we see one person. That doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be 2 or 3 more. But when it's an anti-eco and they have saved one rifle, you think, okay, they're probably going to try to stick together and do something as a unit. And even though that was a thought in their mind, and Envy just elephant-footed around long, ran all the way up all that distance, and didn't even think that NRG could have come to the top of bathrooms and cut them off at the pass. Well, they had another thing coming, and look at this. Ethan just going huge with the deagle, leaving just JDM and Nifty to figure this out. I mean, they win the round, but what's most important is that they had so many losses and that they came close to losing.
So the time has come, the buyback for NRG. JDM aggressive, wanting to be that front runner. Misses his initial bullet. It's going to give way to the op player. They know his position now. But NRG, be careful, because there's a boost up. A little bit of wall spam takes the attention of JDM. Kerrigan actually catches Daps as he blasts back through the wood into the B-bomb site. JDM fires blind into the chest of Breeze. And okay, we have a 5v3. Hell of a setup there on short from Envy. A little bit of luck, but a little bit of skill. And with it all, it's 5 versus 2, NRG gone. And Team Envy tie at 10.
And the only thing we're chalking up to luck is not somebody getting in bad timing. It was Kerrigan very deliberately spamming through, you know, at a moment where he thought he could get a kill. So that's something that we can, I think, credit him on merit for doing. There's of course a solid round overall from Envy, and JDM pulling out the miraculous op pick through the smoke off of that timing. But again, he was patient. He knew exactly when the peak would come out, or when he really felt like it would. They get the round, and they're going to push NRG into another save situation. They'll recycle at least an op and an AK, but Envy are now starting to really come back into the fold. And up until this round, I thought there's still probably no chance for Envy to win this game, even with the pistol, even with those few rounds at the end of the last half.
Try the final save at the end of this one. Cirque drops the op. NRG are cleared, and Envy walk forward with 3 survivors there. Oh boy, we're starting to get into some rocky waters. This is 5 rounds in a row to the T side of Envy. Not a single win yet for the defense. In these 5 rounds, having, what, 2 full buys, 2.5 buys at one point. And they're not onto the rebuy just yet. Mag 7 for Fugly. Upgraded pistols, just kind of sprinkled across the defense. We've got what will be a short pinch. Door can always be swung wide if Fugly needs the help. Potential walk up from drone here could be the first casualty, but it's a patient Envy, except for Kerrigan. Maybe going out just as a feeler.
Interesting. I mean, that's a huge loss, though. They get crushed, they lose a kill, they can't trade it back, And you have to wonder, they know that NRG don't have enough money to buy. They probably know exactly what they're going to do this round. Just invest a little bit, upgrade some pistols. Is getting thinned out going to be the best option? It's not as though Kerrigan had a MAC-10 and was trying to figure out if there was a stack.
Right, but they didn't get his gun. If there's any silver lining here for Envy, it's that. Still just the initial buy of NRG to deal with. Breezy by the barrels down. Next up is Daps, both popped by drone, entering into the B site with relative ease, although Ethan is still now in the side of the water. He's gonna strike as they also pinch short. Fugly's shotgun finds enough distance to work with, and it's a man advantage up. There's still time to just slow this down for a moment, but a boost over the sandbags confirms there's two in there, and Ethan has evaded them, just walking around the bomb site long enough for NRG to upset with only 4 pistols. And that crafty Mag 7.
They didn't have a smoke for sure, but they had a Molotov on Nifty, and I don't even know who else had died earlier on that might have had some utility. But because they had the full buy, they had so much going for them. This kill counts against them, and then they work into Monster. They manage to do it patiently and carefully, and Julian, all the angles, and take their time. But the smoke comes up late on short, and they cross before it. They were so patient up until that point. Why did they rush past that line of scrimmage? There was a crossfire that they knew they could potentially run into, and then they go ahead and lose a round that could potentially be a game-winning round for NRG, as I'm sure there's a moment where NRG are losing, or starting to lose a match, or losing rounds they shouldn't lose, where they can get in their own head. I'm sure they're susceptible to it. We're all human, it's possible. And Envy could have gone ahead and just stolen up an eco round, collected a ton of money for it, and now are within one of maybe getting reset and put NRG into a very prime position. And again, not even spending all of their money last round. 5 rounds for NRG to take this. The first round in this half, and the shining light for Envy, is that they only have lost an eco round. The dark cloud behind it is that they almost lost 2 eco rounds so far.
Correct.
Total 8 deaths that shouldn't have been possible. Cool, they came up with a stack, but that should not be enough, especially when you were doing so well. Looks like the potential for another short B hit. Trade is not out as drone goes down, watching the top of stairs.
Kerrigan have been waiting for that as well. You saw him the moment the door was blown open, anticipating it, but it was NRG to delay long enough to still find that timing. So Kerrigan empty-handed in terms of trade frags. We'll double back through short. He's being left alone for the most part. Clearly JDM rotating op through spawn and Nifty to the top of the connector. And there you go. Random spray through smoke. Breezy drops bomb. Doesn't realize, of course, but once that fades, it should be on full display. Nifty may rapidly run down to grab it. He gets it just in the nick of time, but now arrives to the conclusion that he is all alone. First rifle round win for NRG on the CT side, coming right off the back of the force buy. Getting back into the lead by at least 2 rounds. How many more do we go?
A good timing boost there from Ethan to get his kill into stairs, and there was probably a moment there where NV were prepared and watching that properly, but not only did he get that kill, it came untraded. And as Chad tweeted out actually in the first half that although NV did come across a lot of they came across a lot of opening kills, those trades came out almost instantaneously for NRG on all but 2 rounds. So a 5v4 is meaningful, but not so much unless you can actually reset the situation and then go in and figure out how to make it a 5v3 safely. Here, a lot of things go right for NRG, but it starts off with that opening kill. And it's going to be a tough one for NRG to try to stomach, considering it's the 2 in a row with a pistol involved that have pushed them onto a save.
Bit more aggression out of NRG at the beginning of this one. Got some banked frags, meant to find timing, but they will find nothing. Nifty leading that charge. Catalyst AK replaced by drone. It's going to have to be the sacrificial lamb or the bottom of the boost. We know that drone's always willing to die if it means space for his teammates to succeed. Selfless player in that regards.
Final boss here in the second half is NRG CT side on Overpass is something special. And I did mention how it would have been a shame to not be able to see Cirque work with his teammates on A. But we've definitely reached that territory. They won't be slouching on Envy. They won't be doing anything stupid or crazy. And Envy will certainly have to earn their respect on the A side to be able to win this half. So here we go. Could be the Cirque show.
Grabs the first and second frags quite swiftly, dropping the bomb as well. So we're going to get that activated flank from Breeze in behind. AK will respond with a single kill at least. Nifty trying to extend past the dice box, dies. And there you have it. Cut down at the cusp of the A site. They were given space to get inwards. Not really pushed back by the early aggression of NRG. But nothing more than footing.
Envy could take this as a moment to try to turn the pace up, but that might be expected from NRG. Also, NRG have so much more money than them that it'll be tough to kind of brute force their way into any site, but going slow will also be quite difficult. There will be a lot of aggressive options employed by NRG that'll be quite difficult and will serve as mix-ups to make things complicated on a default. So NV have a tough decision to make, and they're calling a timeout to mull over their options. Solidify the buys. JDM has an op. He's got 24 kills, and his teammates are starting to catch back up a little bit. But if we look at NRG, they've got way higher frag counts overall. The stars have aligned for them in that regard. 3 rounds of difference, so we move into round 24. And because NV controlled the play, so we have to watch them to see what they want to do. It looks like they're defaulting with a bit of stairs control.
Ooh. Door swing wide. Cirque still dies. To drone, of course, as Fugly takes the place. Just puts 1 bullet down. And in and of that, well, he's known. Obviously knowing that there could be a threat up and above. But they actually circumvent him. Team Envy all in on long. And the A defense currently only comes in the form of Dabs. He's back inside of the bank. He's got Fugly trying to run up forward, but Team Envy have done a good job of getting the timing here. By the time the rotators come up, they're completely smoked off, and that bomb site belongs to Envy.
Yeah, the worst thing that can happen here is they take too much damage before the bomb goes down, and it needs to be planted. These smokes going up is going to directly affect how easy this retake is for NRG as they finally get into position. Not the best retake spots possible. In fact, no one on a big flank, and we could see from Envy, they are postured up for this win, but the time may be on NRG side. We'll find out.
Pushing swift. Fugly's gonna trade, puts down that single smoke for the CTs on top of the bomb. JDM catching the player in front of it all, and there's no active defuse here at the moment. Sick reposition on the crosshair, just firing off shots, rattling them downrange. And it is NRG estranged by a really fast long A play. Team Envy, you know, they showed a little bit of presence inside connector. The CTs tried to rotate up, but Envy swifter on the execution.
Certainly one of the things we lauded NRG for in the first half was their mid-round calls, when to pick up sites. And here Envy are showing that they have some of the same finesse. And I mean, maybe that's thanks to Kerrigan. We know Nifty also has kind of been vocal on the team and we're in certain rounds. And so there could be him, it could have been him to have chimed in as well. But just a strong decision to make that move so quickly, and it caught NRG completely unawares. Suddenly, it's more competitive once again. And you know, I definitely felt like A site was going to be the harder of the two for them to be able to take, but they got Cirque early. And they know he's going to be the #1 most wanted player of the match, especially here on the CT side. And Cirque starts out strong. Opening kill after avoiding a flash, and fall back to site. His teammates can kind of sit pretty now, not be overly aggressive.
Smoke down the alley, and Cirque's gonna play in front of this. Almost caught, as he is tagged slightly by the damage. So a clear immediate reposition from NRG in response to that long A play, anticipating Envy would throw it again, which they have. And now they have 2 things that aren't going for them. First of all, the timing. The CT's in clear position, and obviously that information. NRG know what was up before the round even seemed to start. Kerrigan down for the count, removes Bomb out of the equation, but Fugly's in a hot spot. Doubles back for his second kill, catching Cutler's face, and JDM, the Opper, who has made a clear statement thus far on the map, will begin his clutch attempt, but denied by Daps. That's a reset versus Envy.
Man, JDM is super nuts right now, and yeah, he's already up to 27 kills, but the entries do not go successful, do not end up helping Envy. They get one, and then the majority get traded back. A great round from Fugly, specifically, who got that incredibly important 2K. One at bathrooms, one towards long. But all the information brought to you by Cirque, who not only got the opening kill, but stayed somewhat aggressive to get info on long. And look at this, another fast rush out to Monster, but Kerrigan goes down early.
Yep, Ethan's just gonna easily sweep away Drone, running through smokes and Molotovs on top of it. Shadow gives way to the information, but Ethan can do none better. Breeze up and above on the box. Will find the head of Josh. Leaves us 4v2. Empty AK. It's the worst possible thing to pick up. The dry mag will cost him his life. And then we have Cutler here swapping over to the MAC-10. Another easy frag for NRG. Just swarming down into the B-bomb site. Ethan doing enough work to slow down the entire execution. And then obviously Breeze as that second layer of the defense goes one better, folks. So 15 rounds secured by NRG. Took a little bit of a time there, seeing as Envy had some life in them straight out the gates on this offense. Probably bolstered by the reminder that yesterday they did come back on the T side of Overpass. You know, that's not where the questions were for us coming into today's matches. But economic woes. Team Envy clearly at a disadvantage here, just the pistols. The only primary weapon they afford is an ump for JDM.
3 players in stairs. NRG can play back. That is a looming threat. The fact that they can't approach without using utility and therefore giving away their position on the broken door. We've seen what Ethan can do from this boost. In this round, it'll be given no attention. But that in and of itself is a tell. However, there are 3 players for NRG that are over at B. They seem to be handing Cirque over the keys to this round to try to have impact, to give the information over. And his first line of support is Fugly up at long.
Could very well interrupt this. Yep, catches him with the grenades, but doesn't actually manage those frags. Cirque will. Right through the planter, pops the noggin of Cutler. Nifty gonna try to trade frag with JDM. Both these players coming in from long without bomb and having 30 seconds to do so. Run boost through smoke doesn't work. So they're just gonna look for the aim duels instead. And all the CTs are towards mid. Even though they're wary of that rotator up from B, it doesn't exist. Although JDM now has an op. Is that gonna be a difference maker? We do have Breeze now down. Daps committed to the corner, pops his head up, will take down the other as Ethan helps out. And NRG to the CT side of Overpass managed to win their map. 5 rounds in a row for the offensive Envy, but then it comes up short. We're gonna be going right to a break, folks, and we shall return with Mirage as map 2.